Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of the budget kitchen remodel. So here's where we're at to this point. We finished all the cabinet doors and drawer faces. I got all the hardware installed. I leveled them off, aligned the gap. They all look really nice. So we got them all done on this side, and then we got them all done on this side. I have yet to install this false face on this one because I need access to remove the sink. Because we're going to be putting in new countertops. So on this episode of part 2, I'm going to show you how to pull off these fake, ugly looking countertops and prep the substrate, the plywood, for the installation of the granite that we chose. So stay tuned and let's jump on in. Alright, these countertops are not too terribly difficult to remove. You just want to make sure there's no hardware up from the cabinet through the bottom holding it on. So the first thing you want to do is pull out the cabinet drawer, set it off to the side, careful of that nice new paint job, grab a flashlight and just verify that there is no hardware holding on this countertop to the substrate. And all I see is silicone, so this one should hopefully pop off nice and easy. Alright, so go ahead and grab a utility knife, and you want to score all the silicone seams on the countertop. That off to the side. Probably don't need this, and hopefully it'll pop right off without damaging the cabinet. So what you also want to check is make sure you don't have any silicone on the front edge of this cabinet face, and if you do, just score it as deep as you can, but I don't. So there we go. So I'll flip it over so you guys can see how these things are installed. On my house, it might be different in your house, but they just put a couple globs of silicone and set it down, pushed it down, leveled it off, so it shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so the quartz countertops that I currently have are only a 1/2 inch thick, and they're fairly lightweight, as you saw. But the granite countertops we're going to put in, I believe, are 3/4 inches thick, and they're a lot more heavy. So what we have to do is we have to put a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood substrate across this whole cabinet and make it nice and square and level. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the old supports and move on to the next one, grab some plywood, measure everything out, and install a new one. But for now, let's go ahead and yank the old stuff out. So these are, yeah, I mean, they just popped off that easy because they only put a little bit. They didn't even put any silicone on the back, but that's all right. It held. Probably won't even need these guys. Yep, comes off that easy. Now you want to be very careful because you want to do as little damage as possible so it's less prep work when you go to do the new ones. Alright, so I shifted over to the right side countertop on the right side of the stove. So I need to take this backsplash off, and just the same as how I pulled the countertop of that, I'm going to do it on here. I'm going to score the caulking line. Your first pass should be nice and easy, and then you can add more pressure. Here's where you want to be extra careful, because you want to do, like I said earlier, as little damage as possible. Yeah, I know it's a gasket scraper. And just keep working it. There we go. There we go. Push that off to the side. Let's see. Actually, they used matting back there, not mortar. So. All right, so now the back, you want to release that silicone caulking from the back. Set my tools off to the side. Make sure I have no hardware, no caulking popping out. If I do score it, this one has a little bit. Pry it up and wiggle it out. Perfect. Set this to the side and I'll pull out. All right, so pretty quick and simple, you know, 5-10 minutes and you got 2 countertops pulled out. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull the stove out, and we'll get that backsplash pulled. All right, so I ran into a very slight hiccup. The backsplash behind the stove goes up behind the microwave. So I gotta pull the microwave down so I can access that backsplash to pull it down because we're gonna have the granite backsplash up behind it. So first things first, go ahead and open my cabinet doors and plug it. And then I'm gonna have my wife hold up the microwave. It's on like a pivoting bracket back there, so I only have 2 front screws. Unscrew those, and then I can rotate it down and out. So make sure you're using the right bit for these screws. The head is a lot bigger. You don't want to strip them out. All the weight now. This is the side. I installed this thing about a year ago. We got all new appliances, so I kind of already know how this one is installed. Hopefully I put deodorant on, huh? Got it. There we go. All right. So I'll hold it and I'll switch you sides because you'll have to feed the cable through. You ready? All right, so I don't have the template anymore to reinstall this mounting bracket for the microwave. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure down and in from the cabinet, write it on this side, and do the other side over there. And just the measure where it drops down at. That's probably the most important thing because there's a ton of mounting holes. So we are at 16 3/8. Right on the wall, 16 3/8 of an inch. Should be the same on the side, but always want to check. Nope, 16 1/2. I will make sure that I'm going to put it on level. So go ahead and pop this off. Different piece of hardware. Oh, this one got an anchor in it. Been so long I forgot. All right, now we will pull the stove out, unplug it, and work on that backsplash. Wonder what kind of surprises we're going to find back there. I'm kind of embarrassed to show you guys. All right, to take off this quartz backsplash and these side pieces, it's just the same step, right? There's a caulking line here that you want to score and break free. Got a little bit of grout right there at the bottom, but I'll knock it off. That stuff doesn't really stick good to this kind of vinyl cabinet. Got a trick for that. Come this side, do the same thing. All right, the issue I ran into was the grout line butted up against the backsplash, which that's how you're supposed to install it. But when I pull this backsplash off, just like that side piece, I don't want to pull this backsplash off with this. I want it to come in separate different pieces. In retrospect, that's what I should have done on this side. But I'm going to grab my multi-tool. This is my Milwaukee Fuel M18, some pair of safety goggles, and we'll just go ahead and cut those grout lines and hopefully make quick work of it. This will come down pretty fast. Excuse my dog, he has terrible behavior. He loves to be around us, and he's outside. So I thought I can get away with this multi-material blade, but I smoked it after the first side. So went ahead and got this grout removal tool for my multi-tool, and that'll make quick work. So some things you can get away with, some things you can't. This one you can't. So we wanted to replace this quartz backsplash with the granite that we're getting the countertops with. So go ahead and pry it off the drywall. Mine was only held up with some silicone, and then those little 4-inch backsplash pieces popped right off fairly easy. So the next thing is you want to get your tape measure and measure for the substrate top. So go ahead and measure from that back wall out to the face of the cabinet, and then from that left partition to the right side where the stove meets up. Cut that 3/4 inch plywood out. Make sure it's all flush on all 4 sides, and then rinse, wash, and repeat for that right side 3/4 inch plywood. Go ahead and take a 3-foot level and level each of these substrates to one another. And then once they're nice and level, go ahead and lay down a couple big dollops of that silicone straight to the cabinet and press them down. Use a weight on top to hold them in place and let them dry for 24 hours. So here I'm going to take out the garbage disposal and disconnect the plumbing and the water lines, the faucet. So I can go ahead and remove the countertop with the sink, faucet, air gap, and the button to activate the garbage disposal all in once. So I went around and I scored all the silicone lines, and I'm just going around it and breaking it loose before I grab a couple people to help me.
I'm like recording Nathan as I'm talking.
Oh yeah, so you can put it on YouTube.
He's taking the countertop off right now. Oh my gosh.
Why are you taking the countertop off? I thought they were coming for a week.
Why am I taking the countertop off? Because I gotta prep it for the granite. I gotta put some substrate down. So I gotta pull it off before they come and add the plywood. So here's what that looks like. I pulled it off as one whole assembly with the sink and faucet. That's what was left. So I'm going to go ahead and take some measurements to cut out my plywood 3/4 inch substrate. So basically I just drew that rectangle cut out with those spots, and I'm just taking measurements of everything so I can go and cut that sheet of plywood out in the garage. Here's what that plywood looks like all cut out. The only thing I have left to do with this is just mark and measure for the sink cutout, and I'll cut that out with a jigsaw. Here is that kitchen island substrate all leveled off and glued down with silicone. And I did cut the opening for the undermount kitchen sink, and I notched off a couple spots to be able to put in the epoxy type undermount hardware to hold the sink up in place. And I'm sorry I didn't make a video of it, but basically you just want to level everything off with a 3-foot level. And if you need to shim it. Add some silicone throughout the underside of it. Place it down, add some weights to keep it pressed down, and then you can go back after it dries and put a couple 1.25-inch screws from the cabinet up through the substrate to keep it in place. And it's all prepped and ready for the granite. So my wife had this kind of off-the-cuff idea to add the shiplap paneling on our island. We were just walking through Lowe's and she's seen it and she's like, oh, that'll be perfect right there on this front edge and kind of capping off the right side of it. So we went ahead and got 3 boxes of the shiplap, and we leveled the first piece, got it all square and everything, and then we're using silicone adhesive to adhere it to that wall, and then we're shooting it with a pin nailer. I just got this new 23 gauge pin nailer, so I wanted to play with it. And I'm using silicone here instead of like a liquid nails, kind of semi-permanent or permanent adhesive, because you know, if the next people who move in this house want to yank it down, I don't want to destroy the wall with something more permanent. So the silicone, it'll peel off pretty easy, just like those countertops, and won't damage the wall. So it's just something to consider if you do it. But it's a super easy, quick project. It only took us a couple hours to knock out. You know, you leveled it off, you shoot it in after you put some adhesive, then you put the next piece on the far right side, you mark it with a pencil, take it outside or to your garage to cut it down, and shoot that piece on and just make your way all the way through your top. The trickiest part is just cutting out the outlet holes, but honestly, it's super easy. You know, you just hold it up to it, draw some lines, and use a jigsaw to cut those out. So we got that front piece knocked out, and we went to the right side on that return and did the same thing there. And then I put these little trim pieces to hide the edges of it. And then we went ahead and I got some of that enamel paint that I used for the cabinets, and it was like a quarter enamel paint 3/4 of water because I wanted to do like a whitewash effect and give it some nice color. So that's what it turned out. It looked really nice. The whitewashing was awesome. I think it turned out pretty great. Now we just got to add the trim and do some caulking lines along the edges and move on from there. So with that, we'll round off part 2 of the DIY budget kitchen remodel. If you guys are liking what you're watching, please hit that like button and subscribe. It definitely helps this channel grow. And hey, thanks for sticking it out to the end, and I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.